Boys, we out here getting shredded to the gills right now. Getting the 10K steps in, the daily ritual to the shreds. And, that leads me to think about how I was constantly avoiding everything that was hard within my life. Ever since I was a kid, my parents, everyone around me, they all noticed that I was always taking the easy way out, and that led to my fucking depression. I was depressed as shit until I was like 18. Fast forward 2 years, I feel the greatest I've ever felt. I'm shredded, I'm strong, I feel jacked, I have immense confidence now because I stopped numbing myself with bullshit, which is what you need to stop doing. Numbing yourself with bullshit is only going to lead to future consequences that are going to fucking fuck your life up for the rest of your life if you continue this endless cycle, bro. If you are living in the cycle of despair, the only way to change it is to defeat your inner bitch. I say this in all my videos, you need to be getting better every fucking 3 to 6 months. 3 to 6 months, bro. I don't care what it's gonna take. You need to fucking go against the grain, bro. You need to defeat that inner bitch inside you. Stop numbing yourself with porn. Stop numbing yourself with weed. And start doing hard shit. When I started going to the gym, that's when it all clicked. It was the first hard thing I've really ever did. I used to play sports when I was growing up, but that wasn't really hard. It was really fun. It was a fun recreational thing. I used to play in high school. I used to be pretty good, and it was all natural. I never really, I put work in, but it wasn't really anything that was life altering. It wasn't anything that was gonna change my mentality. So start doing the hard shit, bro. If you push everything back in your life, it's all gonna come on you at once. Pause. The only way you're gonna grow is if you constantly put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Talk to that girl. Go hard at the gym. Start a job freshly over. Quit the job. Put yourself in a fucking predicament where you have to actually get it right, or else your life is going to come crumbling down. That's how you're going to build true character. That's how you're going to fucking develop into an absolute savage. I hate doing this shit. I hate doing these 10K steps, but I know it's making me a better person because it's transferring discipline into all areas of my life. 6 months ago is when I truly started locking in on the gym, started locking in on my macros and diet and everything, and my training and learning how to do everything properly. And it's transferred immensely throughout all the areas of my life. I have immense confidence because I know I do what I say I do. If you're not keeping your word to yourself, what are you? How can you call yourself a man if you're not keeping your word? Keeping your word is one of the biggest things you can do as a man. And if you don't do that, you're selling yourself short. Be one with your mind. You need to conquer your mind, because if a man can't conquer his mind, he doesn't have control over everything in his life. And that's where you're going to go down the rabbit hole that everyone goes down. When I was 18, I went to university for neuroscience. I was really peer pressured into that. I wasn't the smartest guy, but I knew I could get that shit done. But I knew it didn't align with my long-term goals. I would have still been in college. I would have still been in university right now to this day. I would have had 1 year left next year. And man, if I really went into that, if I really stayed true to university, I don't think I would reach this personal level of development. I'd still be a bitch. I'd be just like all my old friends. And life, you need to chase that divine purpose, bro. If you're doing something for others, if you're doing something for the money or for superficial shit, everything's going to come crumbling down because you don't have an actual why behind everything you're doing. You need to figure out what that is. And it's not going to happen overnight, bro. You just need to throw yourself into the fire, or else the fire is gonna fucking set you ablaze, bro. It's gonna be over for you, and I'm so glad I realized all this shit as a 20-year-old. You know, a lot of people don't start taking control over their life until they're like 30. You know, a lot of people work a job they hate, and then they get married, they have kids, the American dream, per se. And they don't get to live out their dream. You know, they're living for others. They're living for the validation of others. And if you seek that, everything's going to come crumbling down, bro. You know, you need to do the hard shit. The hard shit is where you're going to figure out what kind of man you are. If you don't know what kind of man you are right now, you need to start putting yourself in the fire, bro. Put yourself in that fire. You know, we're a result of what we do every single day. And if you don't realize that sooner, you're going to succumb to complacency. Don't be complacent in life, because that's where you'll die. Genuinely. That's where everything dies. Your dreams, your goals, your ambitions, your aspirations, everything dies, brother. Everything dies there. And you do not want to live that life. You want to live a life that's fruitful. You know, you want to live a life where you have to do hard shit, because that's where you're going to find true dopamine. You need to rewire the fucking bullshit. You know, you need to rewire your brain to start doing hard shit, so then you can be truly fulfilled. You know, men back in the day, they had true purpose. Now, we have true fucking distractions every single day in our lives. We have porn. We have a whole bunch of junk food, processed food. And it's all distractions. You need to find whatever it is you need to do to be truly fulfilled. And that's when your life starts. You know, a lot of people think your life starts. You know, a lot of people think, oh, he's 20, he's a man. No. A man is not dictated by age. A man is genuinely dictated by all the struggles he faces, through the maturity he has to go through all the hardships he has to face, and what he will do within those predicaments. And a lot of people are 25, 30, even 40-year-olds still never grow up to be that person they envision in their head, because they succumb to all the distractions. So cut out all the distractions and lock in on your purpose. You know, even 6 months ago, I was distracted as shit. You know, my business wasn't working out. You know, a lot of people would have quit in my position, but I know that if I stay true to my divine purpose, to what I think I need to do at the moment, and stay locked in on that for a prolonged amount of time, I'll prosper. A lot of people quit when their long-term ambitions don't work out in 5 months. That's some pussy shit. You know how many fucking years, how many days all these people went through? Like Elon Musk, you know, even Andrew Tate, like all these big, rich guys on the face of the earth. They went through hell and back, and they still stayed true to whatever it is they wanted to accomplish, because they knew that's what it's going to take. It's going to take the grit, bro. It's going to take the blood, sweat, and tears. But are you willing to sacrifice a little bit of pleasure within the moment, brother? Are you willing to do that? You know, a lot of people aren't willing to do it, and that should make you hungrier than ever, because it's easy to get rich. It's easy to get jacked if you just stay disciplined. But it's also easy as fuck to get distracted in this modern age. So the choice is yours. You know, are you going to succumb to what everyone does, or are you going to actually live and be that person you see in your mind? It's always your choice. You know, if you are not satisfied with your situation, you can always change it. You can always do new habits. You can always start being the fucking person you always wanted to be. Because I know if I can stay consistent, if I can, you know, go through all this pain, all this struggle, I can do whatever it is that I desire. And that's the mindset you have to have. That's the frame of mind you need to have within life, or else you're going to be like everyone else. If you feel a little bit of pain like everyone else and you give up, you're going to end up like everyone else, because everyone gives up. So don't give up, brother. Stop numbing yourself with bullshit. Like I said, stop numbing yourself and face yourself head on, or else it's going to be over for you. And yeah, do the hard shit, brother. Do the hard shit. Start fucking being the man you always wanted to be, or else you're gonna live in depression. You're gonna be anxious all the time because you know you could have done more. So, man, if you took any value from this video, brother, go ahead and drop me a subscription. And yeah, I'm dropping daily vlogs right now. Daily, just everything I think within my mind, I'm dropping it. So I'll see y'all boys in the next one, man. Stay blessed. Continue to strive for that purpose, brother. And I'll see y'all in the next.